Mr. Speaker, that the agreements, the purported agreements made on the other coalition, Mr. Speaker, they cannot stand any test. They were made at duress, again in dark rooms and at night, Mr. Speaker. Most of these people were given blank pages to sign, and there is no page with content that is countersigned by those signatories, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our country is in paralysis.
Your time is up. Sabina Chege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. And first and foremost, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my party, Jubilee Party, for nominating me to be a member of this parliament, and also to confirm that Jubilee Party is part of the Azimio la Umoja kwa One Kenya coalition. And Mr. Speaker, just to say that the letter that was there before about Jubilee, that was our internal affairs, and Jubilee is family in Azimio la Umoja. I just want to confirm that. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the issue at hand is who is the majority in this House. Mr. Speaker, a lot of people have alluded about marriage. We all went onto a competition when we went to look for votes. Mr. Speaker, we had two handsome men, and each political party chose where they wanted to go. After the battle, which was a fierce battle, and very close to call, Mr. Speaker, we got the results. And Mr. Speaker, I'll say fortunately, the Azimio la Umoja coalition got the majority of members of this House, Mr. Speaker. As fate would have it, Mr. Speaker, when part of our team saw that the other side, they were rising to go to the House on the Hill, some of them, Mr. Speaker, ran away. But I just want to remind them, Mr. Speaker, that it is good once you are signing a document, please read the document and just know the content of the document. Mr. Speaker, I also want to remind them that for the ones who have left, yes, they might vote on the other side, but legally, they are with Azimio until 90 days are over from the date after the election from 9th. And after that, Mr. Speaker, I am part of the Azimio Council. They are all welcome to come and table their grievances. And we shall again consider whether the grievances are true, and we can let them go, Mr. Speaker, if they so wish. But at this point, Mr. Speaker, even if they go, Mr. Speaker, and some of them have gone, and we respect their decision. Nobody is being forced or coerced, Mr. Speaker. It's just to let them know that the document they signed, ignorance has no defense. Whether they had read or not, they are bound by that document, Mr. Speaker. And so Azimio Party, Azimio Coalition has several parties, and we are the majority. And Mr. Speaker, I know you have also received communication from the Registrar of Political Parties. So we are not disputing who the majority is. Give us a chance, Mr. Speaker, to come here and agree on the way forward, to form the House Business Committee so that then we can serve Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Mutuse.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to address this House. This being my inaugural address to the House, like many have done, I wish to thank my people of Kibwezi West for electing me to represent them here under Maendeleo Chapchap. Mr. Speaker, you notice that our party, Maendeleo Chapchap, is among the parties whose numbers are being contested, and therefore we have a greater interest than many in the current matter. Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer, I know legal arguments follow facts, and therefore it is important for us to lay the facts bare so that when you retreat to make your ruling, it will be as reasoned as possible. It has been insinuated by our friends under Azimio that Maendeleo Chapchap and other parties only jumped after His Excellency the President was declared. Nothing can be further from the truth. Mr. Speaker, I will be tabling before this House a letter that was written by my party, Maendeleo Chapchap, on the 20th of April, over 100 days before the elections to the Registrar of Political Parties, in which letter we requested the Registrar to supply us with the coalition agreement, the Constitution of Azimio Kenya, and the nomination and the country that I will also table before this House another letter that we wrote to the Registrar of Political Parties on the 27th of April 2022, in which letter we requested the Registrar to find it, we communicated the decision of the party, the organs of the party, to be removed from the Azimio One Kenya Alliance. Instead, the Registrar told us that she was under instructions from above, as it were, that we cannot exercise our democratic right to move out of the Azimio La Kenya. I will table the documents. Owing to that, Mr. Speaker, therefore, it is not factual, as has been insinuated, that Maendeleo Chapchap, under which I am elected and the member for Machakos was elected, moved from Azimio One Kenya Alliance after the elections, because the facts speak against. Mr. Speaker, again, after the elections, and noticing that the majority and minority determine how allocation of committees and leadership in this House is to be determined, we wrote a letter to you, the Speaker, our letter dated 26th of September, and which was received in your office on the 29th of September, in which we restated that our numbers, the two elected members, will be associated with the Kenya Kwanza coalition. Mr. Speaker, I will also table that letter so that it goes on record. Mr. Speaker, in the letter we enumerated the circumstances under which our party was forced, coerced, to join the Azimio Kenya coalition. And we did state that we did not find, and the circumstances under which we were coerced to join could not legally stand, and therefore we wish our numbers to be counted under Kenya Kwanza. The question that we'll be answering is, when I stand here as a member of parliament and say I want to be counted under Kenya Kwanza, can somebody else force me to be in another coalition that I do not want? Don't I have a right? Don't I have a right under the Constitution to say where I want to be? Yes. Mr. Speaker, it has been put to you. It has been put to you, Mr. Speaker. I do not want to restate the Constitution because it has been properly stated before you. Mr. Speaker, it has been put to you that rights have limitations, and indeed rights have a test for limitation of rights. To limit a right must be limited by a legislation, and that legislation must clearly state the right which is being limited. Mr. Speaker, in this case, our good friends are relying on limitation under the coalition agreement. The question you will ask yourself is, can a coalition agreement limit fundamental God-given human rights? When you sit, Mr. Speaker, determine that I, Mwengi Mutuse, under Maendeleo Chapchap, and my colleague, Honorable Caleb, we from the record, so we do not have a documents, that the coalition argument says that you cannot move until 3 months are over before the elections. Also, exercise your mind as a seasoned advocate that that time is going to lapse on the 9th of November, which is about 3 weeks to come. And therefore, it is anticipated, actually, people can move out. It is anticipated that people can move out. Mr. Speaker, yes. Mr. Speaker, we are making an argument and everybody will have the opportunity to make that argument. And Mr. Speaker, find that the requirement to wait for 90 days is unreasonable. Mr. Speaker, under Article 38 of the Constitution, the political rights that are given to the citizens of this country, you are supposed to enjoy them without unreasonable restrictions. Unreasonable, mark the word, unreasonable restrictions. To require us to stay for a particular time when we are not there is an unreasonable restriction, and therefore null and void to the extent that it is unreasonable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to support that we are in Kenya Kwanza, and that is where our numbers should be counted.
The Member of Parliament for Mandera North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the debate. For the record, I'm a member of UDM, and in fact a senior member as the deputy party leader of UDM. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution yourself with any party or individual as you so wish. And the Constitution is the supreme. The Azimio Coalition Party, One Kenya, has what we call the council, where each member of their coalition is represented by one member of the party. For record, UDM is not represented in that council. Our party, UDM, if they say that we were part of the Azimio coalition, we contested in various and many counties. One example is in Siaya County, which is also the bedrock of Azimio. A member who was a candidate of under UDM has been called names, including Niwatu ya Al-Shabaab, coming from Azimio. So that means we were not part of Azimio. That has been said, it's on record. So that shows we are not part and parcel of Azimio. We have moved away from you. Actually, we have run like Murife. It's not don't run, but we ran very fast. Standing Order 2B is very clear. And I want to remind my former chairman of PAC, Honorable Ondanyi, that it says the clerk shall obtain certified copy of coalition agreement, not a letter. Agreement not seen in public. You have just ruled out that the agreement not seen in public. You have just ruled out that one that was presented to you. You said some pages are blank. It's very true. We signed a blank paper under duress, under coercion, under threat. You have actually confirmed that what Honorable Junet has presented is blank in some pages. And that is exactly what they presented to some of the members on 12th of March at KICC. The most important part is that we have freedom of association and freedom of movement. We are no longer part of Azimio because they never treated us as one. I've given the examples why. We're not in the council. During campaigns, they treated us as Mododoa, as my friend Honorable Cheng has confirmed. Our party, UDM, has 8 members in the National Assembly and 3 in the Senate. We are that strong, and we are fully in Kenya Kwanza coalition. We have signed a post-election agreement in broad daylight, where all the pages were signed, initialed, and I was present as a senior member of UDM. The one that we signed in, so whatever we signed is what now Honorable Junet has brought with some pages which are blank. That is hot air. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to confirm as the Deputy Party Leader of UDM that we are firmly in Kenya Kwanza coalition, and we are no longer, or we do not want any association with Azimio One Kenya Party. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Lekorere. Mheshimiwa, are you called Lekorere or Korere? Korere. You have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, indeed, I want to confirm to this House that Jubilee is a member of the Kenya, No, please. Jubilee is a member of the Azimio.
All the honorable members.
Hold your horses, members. No. Honorable Speaker.
You will be heard in silence, honorable members.
Honorable Speaker, I want to ask my colleagues in Kenya Kwanza that a woman standing here is an independent woman. I didn't come to this parliament through some party waves. I created my own wave, which brought me here. And I am in Jubilee, and I am in Azimio One Kenya Alliance. And I want to confirm this, Mr. Speaker. You know, a lot of people have talked about coercion and duress. And they left me wondering, what kind of cowards do you have in this house? I mean, full men, upstairs and downstairs, talking of coercion. I mean, Honorable Speaker, was it at gunpoint? Was it at knife point? Could they scream for help? What exactly was the problem? And Honorable Speaker, a lot of people have been talking and making reference to this constitution. The same constitution these members want to define. Because we have been read Article 108 and 107. As to who is the majority leader, it leaves no doubt. It is Azimio, honorable members, until such a time when you can walk out of this marriage. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say, because I come from a community where polygamy is accepted and it is actually celebrated. And Honorable Speaker, in this marriage, some of our members have chosen to flirt with people they think have money. Wait until you know where that money is coming from. And I want to plead with the members of this House. You know, today we are enjoying democracy that a lot of Kenyans died for.
There's a point of order, Honorable Correa.
You know, Honorable Speaker, when you state something, Honorable Speaker, more so when you state something as the Honorable Sarah Correa is stating and waiving a copy of the Constitution, and she quotes Article 107 and 108, and qualifies that by saying that if you read, then you will know Azimio is the majority party. I think Honorable Sarah Correa is completely out of order, because there is nothing in the Constitution, either in Article 107 or Article 108, that decrees that a party by name, that she withdraws that statement, because you are talking about defilement of the Constitution. It is defilement of the Constitution to purport that the Constitution decrees that Azimio is a majority party. Article 108, Sarah Correa, maybe Honorable Speaker, if she has not had the benefit of reading Article 108, it is simply defining what the majority party is, who is the majority party, but not.
All what I was making reference to is we cannot purport to defend the same Constitution, which we again at the same time want to define. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, I was saying.
The Honorable Member for Ganze. If you speak in 3 minutes, I'll give the last chance to Honorable Atandi.
Okay, asante.
Is your maiden speech?
Yes.
Okay, you'll be...
Kwanza nataka nichukue nafasi hii nishukuru watu wa Ganze kwa kuniamini na kunichagua kuwa mbunge wao katika hili bunge la 13. Mimi nimechaguliwa kwa chama cha watu wa chama cha Azimio One Kenya Coalition wanasema kuwa chama cha PA ni miongoni mwa vile vyama ambavyo viko katika muungano huo. Lakini mimi nataka kusema kuwa chama cha PA kilitoka katika muungano wa Azimio tarehe 8 mwezi wa 5, miezi mitatu kabla ya uchaguzi. Hii ndoa ya PA na Azimio iliruhusu wanachama wa vyama vingine waweze kuungana katika ile mkutano yao. Walikuwa haruhusu hata campaign posters ziwe printed katika chama cha Azimio. Kwa hivyo tulipata shida sana wakati wa kampeni. Watu wa Azimio ama kupitia ODM walikuwa wamejaa kiburi, walikuwa wamejaa madharau,
na walikuwa hawaruhusu mikutano yao watu wa vyama vingine waende pale. Kama walikuwa hawatutaki wakati huo, nashindwa kwa nini wanatutaka saa hizi. Mimi nikikaa hapa najiuliza tu, kwa mfano kama Azimio ingechukua serikali, wangekubali kweli kuwa hivi vyama vingine wawe karibu na wao? Sidhani kama ingekuwa hivyo. Kwa hivyo sisi tunashukuru muungano wa Kenya Kwanza ulitukaribisha, na kwa miezi mitatu kabla ya uchaguzi hawako ndani ya muungano wa Azimio, lakini wako katika muungano wa Kenya Kwanza, na hapo ndio tutabaki katika muda wa maisha wa bunge hili. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Honorable members, we still have actually 30 minutes. I want to ask the House if you concur. We have a reduction to 3 minutes so that we can have at least 10 members to speak to this. Atandi, 3 minutes.
All my colleagues have done. I want to congratulate you for being elected the Speaker of the 13th Parliament, and also to thank my voters, the great people of Alego Usonga, for re-electing me to this House. Honorable Speaker, since the introduction of multi-party democracy in Kenya 30 years ago, I am the first to be re-elected into Parliament, and so I want to thank my voters for that. Honorable Speaker, coming back to this matter, I can see that you are being persuaded to rule in favor of Kenya Kwanza in as far as the majority leadership of this House is concerned. But I want to urge you to confine yourself to the standing orders of this House, which says that the authority, standing order number 2B, on the majority leadership of members of this House is the registered political parties. I want to urge you to restrict yourself to that standing order when you sit back to make your decision on this matter, because we cannot purport to be guiding you on which side is majority when the law is very clear. The standing order is also very clear. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I have seen that, who is here, who is my neighbor? Honorable Speaker, David Ochieng joined Azimio La Umoja coalition by force. Actually, we didn't even want him to join. He joined by force because he knew that without Azimio La Umoja, he would never be elected, he would never be here. He was using Baba's name. He was using Baba's name to be able to be elected. Same as these UDM members. Honorable Speaker, if you rule in another way, then, Honorable Speaker, you are helping in mutilating democracy.
I will give the floor to the Honorable Julius Meli. Julius Meli. 3 minutes. You will get time to speak.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise
If
to...
you can compress your argument in 2 minutes, so much even the better.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Well guided. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the people of Tindred for giving... To thank you most sincerely, especially for giving us this time to deliberate and to talk about the issues that are before us. But to make it very clear, Honorable Speaker, the Constitution is quite clear on which party forms the majority in this House. And it has been said very clearly by the honorable members, by the Constitution 108, Article 108, that the party with the majority, and it has been stated quite clearly by our majority leader designate, Honorable Ishungwa, that we have 179 membership in this House. Honorable Speaker, the standing orders put it very clear that the party with the largest number of members forms the majority party. That you've been magnanimous enough to allow us to actually ventilate here and to show the House and the country that Kenya Kwanza Alliance is actually the majority party. Azimio One Kenya Alliance, Honorable Speaker, has had its house built by force, by coercion, by actually blackmailing members. And I think there is a lot of testimony here from a number of members, from all parties, from ChapChap, from UDM, and from even PAR, that they are actually not in that coalition. And Honorable Speaker, you've known that even during the campaigns, ChapChap, PAR, and all the other parties campaign with Kenya Kwanza. That they are actually being counted in Azimio is illegal and it is actually unconstitutional. Honorable Speaker, you realize that in Article 36 of the Constitution and 38, that there is freedom of expression, there is freedom of association. Therefore, by forcing these members to sit in Azimio One Kenya Alliance is actually unconstitutional, illegal, and should actually be voided. And therefore, you guide this House that One Kenya Alliance, Kenya Kwanza is actually the majority party in the House. Thank you.
Owen Baya.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I also want to thank the people of Kilifi North for re-electing me. But I would like to say at the onset that before we amended the law on political parties, there was sufficient law for Azimio to be a coalition. There was sufficient law. And they didn't need to change the constitution to form themselves into a coalition political party. Now that the chicken have come to roost, they want to come back and say they are a coalition. Mr. Speaker, they are a coalition political party and they don't have membership here. And Mr. Speaker, rule that there is no Azimio coalition on the first. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, on Article 259 of the Constitution, there is the element of good governance. When you have a president who runs the executive, you have the party that is not in government running pick and pack. We have had the argument between Badi and Babu Owino about who will be the chair of pick and pack. In essence, preparing themselves to sit in the minority. Because it is the minority side that will check government. Now, Mr. Speaker, we cannot have the
Point
team
of
that
order
says...
From Honorable Badi.
Mr. Speaker, it's completely out of order to misrepresent facts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of park and pick, we decided on our own to say that it will be chaired by a party or coalition of parties which is not forming the national government. There is no mention of majority or minority.
Now, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to go that I don't want to listen to you now. To be in Azimio. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kabondo Kaspul.
This one. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak. First and foremost, I want to thank my constituents in Kabondo Kasipul for electing me for the second time. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, what we are talking about today is a matter of numbers to determine who is majority and who is the minority. Mr. Speaker, we have received communication from the office of the regulator. And the regulator, as we speak, is on the Azimio side as of the 7th of September. Mr. Speaker, we signed coalition agreement. And when you sign an agreement, you abide by those laws of that agreement. Mr. Speaker, I signed those agreements. In any agreement, Mr. Speaker, or contract, there is an exit clause. And we have an exit clause within the coalition agreement of Azimio. The members who are not comfortable with Azimio after the marriage are free to move, but within certain rules and regulations of that contract. Mr. Speaker, we know that it ends on is the leader. But on the 9th, that might be a different question altogether. And this parliament is unique, Mr. Speaker. We have never had a parliament, apart from 2007, where the majority was not clearly defined by the numbers. And therefore, it will be your wisdom and the letter from the regulator that will determine what happens.
So indeed, I thank people of Kangundo for electing me second time as a party leader of GDDP. Honorable Speaker, indeed, we as GDDP, we signed the coalition